Welcome back to Agile Coaching Foundations program, and we thank you for starting your Agile coaching journey here with us at Digital Agility Institute. In this session, we will be talking about the coaching process. Now, as you might know, every coaching session that we have with our clients, there are certain elements that need to be addressed as part of every session. And in this video, we'll be talking about each and every aspect that needs to be covered for the client to get value from the session that we are having, right? So that is what we will look at in this particular video. Irrespective of whether you are talking about an ICF driven coaching or EMCC competency driven coaching, this coaching process is required and is kind of the foundation for a coaching conversation to happen. So with that said, let's look at the first step. What happens? Any relationship is always built on trust. So trust is the underlying foundation for building any relationship, and from that point of view, as in a coach to client relationship as well, we need to build trust. We need to develop rapport with the client, and that cannot happen without us really putting conscious effort. That is one important thing. And for us to build trust, right, so what needs to change? One, building rapport with the client, and it is a consistent process. It's not like you start at the initial stages, you are having discussion with the client and you have built the rapport and then you can just go ahead and continue. No, building the rapport is a consistent process across every session, across every discussion that you have with the client. Of course, it starts with the initial stage, in which we call as a discovery session. So any coaching relationship starts with a discovery session. What happens in a discovery session is we kind of firm up the long-term goals the client wants to accomplish through that coaching relationship. What are their aspirations? What are their objectives? What are their challenges that they want to address? All that is discussed, and then a overarching contract is set up. Okay, our coaching relationship would be for 6 months or 1 year or 2 years, depending on what the client is looking for, right? That is something we need to understand, and that happens through several sessions in the beginning, and that is what we call as discovery state. Understanding the client, who they are, what they are looking for. Will the coach and client relationship work with the person whom we are looking to coach or who is looking to be coached? Does our values kind of help us collaborate, or they are too conflicting, correct? So those all things will need to be looked into. And ethics is another important element. So ethics is nothing about, one of the most required ethical things is not judging the client, right? So that is paramount, means, and how that influences, why we call that as ethics. Judging client by the let's say their background, judging client by their culture, judging client by their personality can influence the whole coaching conversation, and you as coaches can take the client to a direction based on our own agendas. So the ethics says that we should not differentiate because of the cultural background of the client, where the client comes from, what they believe in. All those elements should be part of that conversation only. That should not influence our behavior or our dealing with the client, right? That is about ethical considerations, not discriminating people based on their culture, their background, their personality, their gender, whatever it is, right? So their race, so all those elements fall under ethics. And then maintaining confidentiality. This is something which is again foundational. Whatever we are discussing happens throughout the coaching relationship, not just in one particular session. And maintaining confidentiality, whatever is discussed within the purview of the coaching conversation should remain between the coach and the client until unless exclusively permitted by the client for it to be shared with anybody else other than the coach and the client. That is again one of the ethical considerations. So maintaining confidentiality is also the major requirement for a coaching relationship to flourish and coaching process to be valuable to the client. Okay, so that is about establishing trust, and this happens throughout the coaching relationship. So for any conversation also, when you are starting with giving that confidence about maintaining the confidentiality, that you are looking to build rapport even when you are having a conversation, maybe the nth time with the client, but still, however well you know the client, however well the relationship is established, still you will need to build that rapport consistently, follow ethics consistently, and maintain confidentiality consistently. So that is our first aspect. Then, like looking at the second one, right? Establishing coaching agreement. This again, of course, this happens for the whole relationship itself, but in every session we need to have a coaching agreement set up, right? That is also very important. We will look at more deeper when actually we cover coaching agreement. So in the establishing coaching agreement, four things happen as you see here: establishing the session focus, defining the session outcome, establishing the motivation for that to be point to be focused upon in the conversation, and establishing the success criteria. So these are the four things we look at in the establishing coaching agreement. We will have a separate video only for coaching agreement establishment. So that's an important thing. We'll cover that exclusively in a separate video. And the third thing that happens is establishing the current state. So you will explore the situation after you have finalized the success criteria, established that coaching agreement we talked about. You will then come back and explore the situation further with the client. Yes, this is what you want, but can you tell me more about your current situation and how it is impacting you, right? And then validate and refine the session outcome. This is very important because many times, and most of the times, this is something we have seen, that what actually client starts as a problem statement or something to be addressed in that session is actually not the problem. They don't, or they are not able to define the problem in the right way, or they are not able to define the true problem. The underlying root cause starts coming out when you start exploring the situation and exploring the impact. So that is where again you refine the session outcome. That means if required, you are recontracting once you establish and explore the current state, right? That is our third step. Then the fourth step that we are talking about is explore possibilities. Yes, now you have defined what you want to achieve, you have defined where you are. Now then you are talking about what are the possibilities, what is that the client would have liked to have happened in the ideal scenario. That tells you what is the possibility they are looking at, right? And then ask them about their current thought process. Yes, what are you thinking now? How is your thought process progressing towards accomplishing what you want? What are you looking at? Or what all you have already tried? Right? Explore all those elements. And then once you know, yes, they have tried this or they have thought about this, what else can they think? What else can you think? When you are saying yes to this option, What are you saying no to? And this is where your powerful questioning also comes into play. All the competencies that we talked about in earlier professional coaching video are at play throughout the coaching process, right? So in the fourth step, we are talking about exploring the possibilities, exploring the options, exploring the thought process, exploring their limitations they are putting on themselves. Okay, what constraints are you putting when you are thinking only these? What assumptions are you making when you are thinking only these options? What can help you to think beyond these options? Right? Those are the kind of questions you can ask when you are trying to explore the possibilities, correct? So once you have discussed the agreement, what they want, current state, where they are, and what is the impact to them, why they want it to be addressed today, and refine the outcome, and then you have defined the possibilities that they are looking at, and then you go ahead and start asking about establishing actions. Yes, you have discussed these possibilities. Out of these, now what resonates with you? What is that you can start off with? What is that you like to start off with that can give you the outcome you are looking for, right, from this situation or from this problem to address this challenge? And then that will tell them, okay, this resonates with me. So for you to get it done, what needs to change? For you to take this action, what needs to happen? Right? And then once they define that, you start, okay, now that you have said all this, what actions are you looking to undertake? What actions come up to your mind for you to go through this, right? And we also look to explore what are your roadblocks. And that means a coaching process covers everything, right from definition of problem statement to the end state. We want to help the client to visualize everything. We have said, this is the outcome I'm looking for. This is where I am, right? This is the goal. This is where I am today, and this is the impact because of this situation to me, and this is what I want to get from this session towards addressing this problem. And then these are the options I have explored, but this is something now I am exploring. And then we say, okay, now that you have learned all this, what is that resonating with you? Which option is resonating with you? And then you are asking them, what actions can you think of? And then next is explore the roadblocks, explore some things that can stop them from taking those actions. What can stop you from taking these actions, or what can come in your way when you are taking these actions? That is to help them visualize some blockers that might limit their progress. And then next would be, what support will you need for you to complete? That means that will tell them, okay, I need to probably talk to some people, I need to get XYZ resources made available, or I need to think of an alternate action as well if I'm getting this roadblock which cannot be overcome, or I need to talk to XYZ who can support me in this. So all that will be explored, whether it is a financial resource, whether it is a external people, or somebody within his close circle who can help, or even you as a coach, which could be lost option. We definitely try to avoid that, but sometimes it can happen, right? So we ask those questions to say, what support do you think will help, or what support do you think you will need for you to undertake these actions? So that is the next step. And the last step is about establishing learnings. One thing we need to remember is coaching is also about helping create awareness, helping create sustenance within the client. So at the end of every session, we ask, okay, what is that you learned about yourself in this session? That gives them the ability to reflect back through the session and help them build that awareness about themselves. Yes, through this session, I was actually, when I came into the session, I was thinking like this, but now as we go through, I started thinking like this. I think I need to change my thought process. This is what is normally stopping me in getting the outcomes I want. So that is the kind of awareness you want to generate. So you need to establish the learnings, not about the situation, about themselves, about the who of the person, right? That is something we really want to focus on. And then next would be, okay, you got this awareness. How do you think this awareness will help you in other parts of your life, other areas of your work? That means you are not just about generating the awareness, but also helping them visualize how they can apply those learnings in other parts of their work or life, and how things can change for them. So not just the generation of awareness from the session, but also application of that awareness in future parts of their life, in future situations wherever they are encountering similar behaviors, so that you are trying to give them a visualization of their behavioral pattern, and how the new behavioral pattern can, or new thinking pattern can help new habitual pattern, new belief system that they got awareness about, can help them, and how they can use that, right? That you are trying to establish. And at the end, we ask them to say, okay, how did you summarize the session? That gives them a complete crystallized view of, okay, this is how I started, this is what I came with, and this is the way I am finishing this particular session. Okay, so that is the session summary, closing of the session completely, which will help the client revisit the whole process and what they learned through the whole process. And that completes the overall coaching process. So you start with establishing coaching agreement, means you initially start with building rapport, first addressing and familiarizing yourself again with the client, how things have progressed from last time you met them, if it's a continuing conversation, establishing coaching agreement, exploring possibilities, establishing current state, exploring possibilities, establishing actions, and establishing learnings. That is the overall coaching process that we look at for any conversation with anyone, whether it is an individual one-on-one coaching or it is a team coaching. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this session, and if you have any questions or you want clarifications on any of these topics, drop in an email to collaborate@digitalagilityinstitute.com, or you can now book a consultation session, a 30-minute free consultation session with me through our website. Visit us at digitalagilityinstitute.com. We'll continue with the next video, where we will talk about coaching agreement specially. Until then, see you. Happy learnings.